All right, let's dive right into this explainer. I want you to picture a scenario. And honestly, it's an incredibly common one, even if it's super painful to admit. It's late at night, you're standing all alone in front of the bathroom mirror, just overanalyzing every single flaw, right? You look at your eyes, your smile, the texture of your skin, and you start comparing yourself to literally everyone else. You judge yourself so harshly. And slowly, your brain starts feeding you this devastating lie. It tells you that you're just genetically doomed, that you lack that special X factor, and that you are fundamentally, unfixably unattractive. Well, listen to me. If you have ever felt that sinking, heavy feeling in your chest, you are absolutely not alone.
But this is exactly where we need to totally reframe the way we look at this. I mean, think about it. Why do some physically average people look so incredibly magnetic? It's kind of a puzzle, right? Well, the truth is, you aren't physically unattractive. That's a total illusion. What's actually happening here is that your face is reflecting a really heavy emotional history. Your natural warmth, that natural effortless glow we all have, it's just been buried under layers of suppressed internal pressure. Basically, your face is broadcasting the tension you're holding onto inside, and the world subconsciously picks up on it.
So that brings us to section 1, the real attractiveness problem. We often think of our faces as just these static end results of our genetics, but they are actually physical books of our emotional history. Every suppressed emotion, every single sting of rejection, every night of mental torture and overthinking, it literally settles physically into your expressions. Society tells us that attractiveness is all about genetics, perfect features, and flawless symmetry. It turns looking good into this brutal physical competition. But the truly magnetic people out there, they rely on what actually matters. They have this incredible emotional ease. They have unrestricted energy. They project safety. The big takeaway here is that highly attractive people just aren't constantly fighting their own lives. They aren't trying to prove themselves every single second. They have super low emotional resistance, and man, that ease is just incredibly captivating.
Which leads us right into section 2, an exhausted nervous system.
So, if emotional ease is the secret sauce to attractiveness, why do you feel like you're lacking it? Well, the real diagnosis here isn't a flaw in your physical appearance at all. It's that your brain is hyper alert, it is stuck in survival mode. You're constantly evaluating every interaction, which is completely exhausting your nervous system. And when your nervous system is fried like that, you project what we call battlefield energy. You aren't just walking into a social situation. Your brain thinks you're entering a combat zone. You're filtering every single word before you speak. You feel hyper-conscious of looking weird even when you're just laughing at a joke. You're basically silently asking for permission just to exist in a room. Inside, you're begging for subconscious approval. And let me tell you, battlefield energy is deeply, deeply exhausting. Not just for you, but for the people around you. Because they subconsciously read that desperation and naturally pull away. And here's the tricky part. Often, when we're in this emotionally blocked state, this place of chronic internal defense and tension, we totally mislabel it. We tell ourselves, oh, I'm just a serious person, or I'm just mature, or I'm naturally reserved. No way. Reserved people can still be relaxed and happy. You aren't just mature. The reality is you are mentally exhausted to the point where your natural, spontaneous personality has been completely eaten away by all this over-awareness. Because here is the absolute core dynamic of human connection. Attraction's deepest level is safety. Human beings are constantly reading each other's energy, right? If your internal survival energy is cranked all the way up to 10, people around you will just not feel safe. They'll pick up on that unresolved tension, maybe that hidden anger or deep insecurity, and they'll get uncomfortable without even consciously knowing why. Warmth, emotional openness, and ease, those are the qualities that naturally signal safety to our brains, and that is what actually pulls people in. So, where does this all start? Let's dive into section 3, the childhood roots. I can guarantee you one thing, you were not always this rigid. If you look at this rather tragic progression, back in years 1 to 10, you were likely highly expressive. You were naturally playful and completely free of embarrassment. You danced, you laughed, you just lived in the moment. But then came years 11 to 18. Society, your peers, maybe your family, they demanded control. You were told to quiet down, to stop crying, to mature quickly. You learned that acceptance requires performance. And that brings us to the present day. You're living in a state of constant self-monitoring. You're maintaining masks and images to protect yourself. And honestly, the most dangerous part of all this, you probably didn't even realize the exact moment your original, playful self completely disappeared. The consequence of this lifelong performance is pretty stark. Your body is now literally addicted to danger. Because you've worn this heavy armor for so long, your nervous system actually finds peace and quiet totally unfamiliar. Have you ever noticed that even when you're completely alone at home, your face still feels physically tight, your eyes look tired, your thoughts are just racing? You can't even relax in isolation because your body is chronically waiting for the very next threat. Your face never gets the chance to be fully soft. And remember, softness is attractive.
We have to fix the root cause here. Welcome to Section 4, Dismantling the Internal Pressure. Look, you absolutely cannot fix a deeply rooted nervous system issue with superficial band-aids like forcing a fake smile or just getting a fresh haircut. We have to dismantle the pressure from the inside out. So here are 3 immediate steps to start retraining your brain. First, when you're out in public, actively catch yourself when your mind starts comparing your looks to others. Just notice that combat mode turning on. Second, the very moment you catch it, consciously slow down your breathing, let your jaw drop loose, physically release the tension in your face. And third, drop the immediate urgency to prove yourself. It's going to feel weird and uncomfortable at first, for sure, but you have to teach your brain that your mere existence doesn't constantly need to be defended. To truly heal, we need to uncover the hidden shame that's driving all this seriousness. There's a brilliant concept explored in a guide mentioned in our source material called Behind the Dark. It focuses exactly on untangling these messy emotional patterns. So try this exercise tonight. Put your phone away and grab a pen. Write down exactly what you fear being judged for. And please, don't give surface-level answers here. Admit the really deep, dark fears. Are you terrified of sounding stupid? Of being seen as inferior? Take that exact feeling and trace it all the way back to the very first time you felt it in your childhood. Because that tension you're holding in your face right now, it's almost always just unresolved trauma from your past.
Which brings us to our final roadblock and Section 5, taking life less seriously.
We seriously have to break the habit of turning every minor, awkward social moment into a massive identity crisis. When you're stuck in survival mode, a simple awkward conversation will literally keep you awake all night over analyzing it. If someone ignores you, you internally collapse and decide you're permanently unattractive. You're treating every single interaction like a life or death scenario. But let's look at free energy. Emotionally free people, they don't take rejection so personally. They don't carry the heavy weight of a weird conversation around for days. They allow themselves the grace to make mistakes. They just allow themselves to be human. And humanity, with all of its quirky flaws, is deeply attractive. So here is a massive paradigm shift for you. Treat life like a game. Now, yes, obviously have goals. Give 100% to your career and your ambitions. But you have got to drop that heavy, suffocating stress that's robbing you of your sleep and your joy. Approach your daily interactions with a real sense of play. Think of them like levels in a video game you're navigating, rather than these brutal, defining tests of your self-worth. Pursue your life with lightness. So, as we wrap up this explainer today, I really want to leave you with this final provocative question. Are you going to keep fighting a war that doesn't actually exist, exhausting yourself and everyone around you? Or will you finally drop the armor, release that massive internal pressure, and just let your natural, relaxed self be seen? The choice is entirely up to you. But always remember, true attractiveness is simply having the courage to exist in the world without constantly trying to defend yourself. Try practicing that emotional ease today. You've got this.